Hello again, folks, and welcome to TableTakes. Today is May 7th. Don't worry, you still have 2 more days in the US before you have to run and try to find something for Mother's Day. I hope you guys did reserve something. But besides that, Derek, what have you been up to?
Well, I think all of our games are unpacked. The first pass at organization has happened. I'm not fully satisfied with the detailed categorization and sorting to different shelves that I would like, but we're getting there. So all the games are up, which is nice because now I actually know where all my shit is. And we only have one room left that is a complete mess, and that is the miniatures painting room. And then we might live in a normal house. So I'm very excited about that.
Of course, you have a room that's just for miniature painting. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So brand.
We got a house
have your
for a
spray
reason.
booth. Yeah, spray booth and lighting, and then also like you gotta have your foam cutting area for if you want to make model areas. See, I know.
We all have.
I want to get a 3D printer. Come on.
Mm-hmm. And then
So-
it's a whole.
So that's the exciting stuff with the house. On the other hand, the other news to share with folks is that next week will be my last episode on TableTakes for quite a while, probably at least through Gen Con, except maybe like a special episode here or there. So today is the last episode for at least a few months that all 4 of us will be together to hang out and talk about what happened this week.
We should play taps, or like a 9-gun salute.
Blast
Oh wait,
anyone
no,
with
hold
you.
on. We need at the end of the show, I will twiddle my little wand. That's
Very
what I'll
fitting.
do. But yeah,
You'll be a special guest. This won't be the last that you hear of Derek the Dark.
yeah, you still owe us corn dogs, so of course we're not gonna let you go. Jeez.
That's good.
What about you, Emma? What have you been up to?
Shots. The vaccine, anti-disease pandemic, pan pizza. I forget what we call it now. Isabel's so good at this. Yeah, I got my second vaccine yesterday. I feel okay. I feel like I was trying to put it in numbers. I feel like $728,016, I think I would say. You know the saying, it's like, I feel like $1 million. I'm like, not quite up to $1 million. I'm like 3/4 of the way there. So yeah, I'm doing okay though. So
the side effects though, I'm seeing some of the side effects of the shot. It looks like it turned you into a real cutie.
Hey, that's smooth. That was so smooth.
Yeah, I got a sweet shirt. I turned fashionable. The side effects of the vaccine.
You've been infected with fashion.
But yeah,
If only it were that easy.
all the fashion, all the eyes, all the love, all the color. Also, Isabella, what are you been up to lately, huh, my dear?
I baking. I made carrot bread. Here's the thing. You want to know how to take a box mix and then you really make it snap. Okay, here's what you do. You add an extra egg. All right. If the instructions say add water, you add milk. Okay. And then what you do is you cut the oil amount in half, you add applesauce. Okay. And then if you really want to get crazy on it, you put in pudding mix inside the mix, and it makes it super, super moist. And I made carrots and I added butterscotch inside of it instead of this carrot bread, and it made it like caramelized. So good. Italian chef kiss fingers like that. Very, very good. I've been eating that nonstop, which is probably not good health-wise.
So when we meet up finally in person, you are responsible for snacks, is what I'm hearing?
Listen, I love baking during the springtime when the vegetables I love baking specifically. So first we're doing carrot cake, and then next month zucchini start coming in. So I make some zucchini loaves and some zucchini bread, and I will mail you guys out some zucchini bread because I love baking those. So it's very simple. It's a recipe my grandmother's been doing for 30 years. Other than that, tonight after this, I'm on Roll20, and I'll be playing Fiasco with some friends of mine. And I believe that you can find that information on the Roll20's Twitter page as well. And so I'm very excited about that. Hopefully it's going to be really interesting if you guys want to watch me play Fiasco.
That's
Such a
super
great
cool.
game.
When I saw the note in here, I thought that you were having issues with Roll20 because I saw Fiasco with Roll20. I thought there was like some sort of tea to be spilled here. That's much better. Fiasco, excellent.
No, we
Watch
played the game
Isabella.
Fiasco.
That
on
makes much more
Roll20.
sense. Okay, I'm excited.
Next week, we expect your book report on how good the integration is.
Okay.
Oh, ooh.
It's my first time, so I'm really excited about it. And I think it's going to be, from what I've seen, it's actually really good integration. So we're going to see. So.
First time playing Fiasco or first time playing on Roll20?
I don't remember if I played this game before, and I never seem to remember if I played games before until I'm like 5 minutes in, and then I'm like, oh, I've played this before. That's usually how things go.
Also, it's a lot different if you're at least with the physical version. They had it a while ago, and they came out with the new Kickstarter and had the cards, which we actually played on stream, which was super cool. So it could be unrecognizable. And then the app now.
All you need to know is improv. That's what I always think with Fiasco. It's just improv. Yeah, I think for me, I'm just excited. Tomorrow, I'm going to be role playing with a bunch of awesome people on Table Story. We're going to be doing a steampunk esque mystery, playing Clockwork Dominion. So I'm excited to play that. You guys probably Trooper's going to be on there. PB Murgles. I don't know if I've no Trooper's been around on Gen Con before, so it's gonna be fun. And then Drake is gonna be the first time I'm gonna be playing with him, so I'm excited. I'm gonna be such a cool person. I'm a Silver Tongue character, so it's gonna be awesome. I don't know, all the role playing nerdy stuff that is good and well in the world. But you want to know what? I feel like I need a badge of honor for just like, existing sometimes. Don't you feel like that, Derek? Just like a badge, all badges.
Yes, definitely. I feel like everyone should have a badge for existing. In unrelated badge news, badge registration for Gen Con Indy is going to open up on May 23rd. So just a reminder, everybody, Gen Con has moved its dates for this year from August to September 16th through the 19th. So Gen Con Indy, if you want to go to the physical convention in Indianapolis, registration for that opens on May 23rd. Gen Con Online and Pop-Up Gen Con will be happening at the same time. Online is obviously going to be online. You can access it anywhere you have a stable internet connection. Pop-Up Gen Con is going to be operating at local game stores kind of all around the country. So you can register for a badge, find out what locations you can go visit, depending on whether you want to go to Indianapolis, stay at home, or take a short trip to a local store. The kind of full information is available on the website. Hotel registration dates, event registration dates, all those other dates have not been announced yet, but badges will be going up then. It is important to remember that there will be an attendance cap this year, and badges will be in limited quantity. I do personally expect that 4-day badges will go very quickly. So if it's something that you really want to do this year, if you're vaccinated, if you are looking for an excuse to get out of the house and it's going to be safe for you to do so, then you're going to want to grab one pretty quickly, I would say.
All right. Very, very cool. Yeah. Keep your eyes open and updated about that with all of these registrations coming in. Also, I wanted to note before we dive more deeply in the news, don't forget, we're going to have a very exciting interview later on after this. So I don't know. Can we hint who's going to be in or what we're going to be talking about? Okay. Okay. So that's what I'm going to be doing. We're going to Into the Motherland season 2 is coming in, and of course a lot of the developers, writers, and also some of the players are going to be in, and our own Isabella is going to be doing the interview for that and getting those folks in. So hey, stick around to after the news because we are going to be doing that awesome interview that everyone could be looking forward to. But also as we're seeing more things open up, people opening stuff to be registered as we go along and move through our interesting times that we live in, I hear that magic may be returning. Emma, what do you think?
Yeah, magic returns to the world. Yes, specifically to the in-store, in-person world. Magic the Gathering is set to return to in-store play, and this is for pre-releases, Friday Night Magic, tournaments, those kind of thing, May 28th. So that is a few short weeks from now. Wizard of the Coast specifically, they were one of the first early ones to put a kibosh on the play, in-store play. Like they specifically said, hey, we're not going to support in-store tournaments, and which was really good and really important. You know, even depending on where you were and what the regulations were, they were pretty serious about locking that down. But according to them, now they are saying that it's going to be okay to play in person. Now, I think very importantly for this, I want to state that you still have to abide by not only your state's laws, but also your local game store's level of comfort. Not every local game store is going to open up at the same time. So, and they are very aware that this is happening, and also bet you can ask them if they're opening, but don't pressure them. I know a lot of people who work at local game stores who are getting harassed by people who are just desperate to have in-store play again. And these employees have, a lot of them have been working in store for most of the last year, and they've taken on risks in order to get you your games. So excited that in-store play is going to be a thing. I'm a huge fan of playing Magic in person, but definitely want to make sure that you're still supporting your local game store, and that includes emotionally as well, for how exactly you're approaching whether or not your personal local game store is going to be happy and comfortable with doing in-store events. All that being said, Wizard of the Coast is supporting with some special items for in-store play. June 18th, they're doing a foil retro frame Fabled Passage for anyone who spends $50 or more. Later in the summer, they're doing more foils in retro frame, and they're also doing a Mystery Booster Convention Edition, the special box of reprints with an exclusive playtest card designed for special drafts. And also the Modern Horizon 2 set releases on June 18th, which is one of the most recent upcoming events for Magic the Gathering. So that is potentially something that will be available in your local game stores.
I think this is great. I love that Magic is encouraging people to support their local game stores. You know?
Yeah.
Like the idea that the company is very well aware of what's happening in the community, and that they're trying to support, because they know retailers, you know, support them and support the fandom and support the making of a community. And so I think that them being aware of this and doing their best to, by releasing special things to kind of get people back out into it. I love that. I am very rarely praising Magic. And so, but I will give them credit when credit is due. This is awesome.
Yeah. So, hey, look forward to that. And like Emma said, please respect the areas, or basically the businesses that you are going to be going in and traveling, because like not everybody is very comfortable to opening up yet. And, you know, yeah, just help out your local friendly local gaming stores. On another note, that is something that I'm going to give a quick blip for, something that is happening in October. Spiel has just confirmed to be basically planning on doing an in-person convention. Spiel, of course, is one of the one of the largest board game conventions that is international. And they just basically announced that yes, they're still planning Spiel 21. The Essen exposition has almost everyone will be vaccinated by October. And of course, they're looking forward to welcoming everyone. Just stay healthy. And, while we're going through these like final steps, there isn't really a lot of information following that. But it is something to kind of keep an eye on as we get closer to the end of the year. So yeah, just keep an eye on it.
Busy fall.
Busy fall. Everything, all the leaves are fall in convention times. And I heard, you know what, on another related news, a pretty bird once told me that there is some news about in the loft Isabella, would you know about what this pretty bird once said?
Is it a raven?
It might be a raven. Ravens are very intelligent. Yeah.
Raven was in the loft. That was great. That was dynamite. So D&D has a new Ravenloft book that is coming out. This one is part of a larger conversation that we've been having about revisiting some not so cool cultural tropes and stereotypes and kind of trying to revise them so that they are more culturally aware, more culturally appropriate. Some of who would call the wokening of their tabletop games. And their tabletop games are
Oh,
being
how dare we include people?
mob. That's right. It's happening, you guys. It's happening more and more. So buckle up. This one is happening with, and I have never said this out loud, so please correct me if I'm pronouncing this wrong. But is it Har-Akir? Har-Akir. Cool. Nobody's correcting me. Great. So it's Har-Akir.
Sure.
Yeah. It's
That's what I
canon
would
now.
do.
Whatever you say is canon.
Sure, it's canon. Do
I
it.
waited for somebody to correct me. Nobody did. So it's good.
Nope.
So
That was our one chance.
nobody knows. So The Curse of Strahd, if you're familiar with that, and if you aren't, it's one of the best. It's so much fun. You can get super goth and super spoopy with it. It's one of my favorite ones to play. And they already kind of revisited some of the more problematic elements of The Curse of Strahd. Strahd had a lot of those kind of old Transylvanian kind of stereotypes from old movies, the kind of Romani people and the kind of fortune tellery kind of stuff that is super problematic. They kind of already went back and revised some of those stuff. And there's also a mummy setting, which is the Har-Akir, which is canon setting. And they're going back to that because originally it had this very like, not Lon Chaney, who is Boris Karloff. Boris Karloff, The Mummy, if you've ever watched like the 1930s version, which has kind of stayed in our popular culture of our idea of the mummy, which is like a white dude in bandages, you know, it's kind of like the
Yeah.
and like, you know, it's like white people going into Egypt and being like mummies. And then, you know, that's kind of what stayed inside of our culture. Instead of having actual conversations about the fact that a lot of the West utterly pillaged most of Egypt's artifacts and most of Egypt's culture and ruined a lot of their 4,000-year-old history. Fun fact, did you know that in the West, they would take mummies, they would ground them up, and they would make paint out of them. There's a type of color of paint, and it's called mummy, and it's a specific color because it was made out of old bones. Yeah, not cool. It's bad. And especially during the 20s and the 30s when Egypt was highly romanticized. This was a very common practice of taking things out of Egypt. And we're just now starting to return a lot of those artifacts now in this century, including Berlin.
Just starting that process.
It's
like
just starting.
There's still so much resistance to returning any of the stuff from around the world that Europe decided to bring back home because it looked cool.
Yeah. There was a meme that went around last week because the Museum of Berlin, I think it is, decided that they were going to return their African artifacts. And there's like a meme, and it's like the British Museum of Natural Sciences, and it's like this guy sweating because you're next. So they're revisiting that, and they're taking it instead of this sort of perspective of like an outsider or Westerner who goes into ancient Egypt and kind of, you know, encounters this savage, strange world full of, you know, ancient Egyptian mummies, and instead kind of revises it from a different angle and looks at a person who belongs to this culture and their reaction if you belonged inside of the culture, which I think is much more interesting and much more of there's so many more possibilities of exploration culturally if you are from this vaguely Egyptian inspired world. And so it's happening. Your games, they're changing. Times are changing.
Yeah, well, so I mean, like I'm really excited because in case anybody's not familiar with the Von Richten guide, For Ravenloft, it's taking the idea of that whole domain of dread and that one central monster that kind of harkens to a lot of classic horror tropes and exploring new cultures and monsters with that. And WotC seems to have done a pretty good job of going out and getting a diverse group of creators to say, hey, here's the basic idea. What do you want to do with it? And I'm real curious to see what those folks did with it. Because when it first came out, Ravenloft, Curse of Strahd was such a departure from a typical D&D story that I really want to see what these other opportunities present.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about it.
It's just as we go into a different scene culturally from different points of view, I just get excited because, legends around the world are completely different. At least just a lot of local things, a lot of things I remember even a Ghostmithers show came over to my island and they're like, oh, these spirits called Tatamonas, they're revengeful spirits. And I'm like, no, those are just our ancestors. They just hang out. They're not really bad. They hurt you, they pinch you if you're being bad. And, they're not going to come out to kill us. There are, they're like, oh, that's great, ancestor from past. I don't know. It's just, it's cool and exciting to see all of these. And, as more stories open up, it gives us more opportunities for all the fantasy all around the world. It's okay. But yeah, no, and as of course, to more things to celebrate, it's time for hold on. This is gonna be for you, Derek, because it's special because I don't know how many times we're gonna have you here, but it's Warhammer Fest with Derek. Tell us all the things that Warhammer showed you today, Derek. Yeah, Warhammer Fest. Warhammer
Okay, all right, yeah, all right, sure. Yeah, I did like the summary we had before the show of just Games Workshop basically put out a whole week's worth of heavy metal album covers as different miniature models. So to kind of run through this pretty quickly, because a lot of stuff was announced. If you are a big Warhammer fan, you're going to want to just go to the website and look at the pictures directly, or you probably already have, and you're just like, yes, I'm talking about it. But for Age of Sigmar, we got a big centaur god mean guy, plus vampire bat people centaur folks that apparently really creep Emma out because she is never thought too carefully about how weird and creepy a centaur is to begin with.
No, but it's more okay, putting a torso on a horse, I feel makes a little bit more. This is like taking a sparrow, like a bird, and putting a whole human torso where the
Have you never seen the reverse centaurs where they have a human body and they have just the tiny little horse legs and the horse head coming out the guy's neck? Centaurs are fundamentally real creepy things. So sure, make them vampires and give them vampire wings. Sounds great to me. Love it. I can't wait to get one of these and make it a demon prince for Chaos Space Marines or something like that. So if you like weird stuff, creepy things, and you think centaurs are cool, Age of Sigmar's got you there. For 40K, this is where the bulk of the announcements were. First, they had 2 days of it, but some of the first stuff that came out was a bunch of stuff for the Sisters of Battle, including what I described as a nun in a mecha made of churches, basically, little like church pieces and church decorations everywhere. So if you want holy battle robots, that are kind of carrying their riders almost like a baby Bjorn, but not quite, it's got that. There's a very 90s anime vibe to it, where you had the little rider inside with the tiny little arms and the giant robot arms around it. That, but fancy. There's a tank, but make it a church. There's a couple, that's what the Redemptus Sororitas did. The Sisters of Battle, make a thing, but make it a church. There's a couple old lady minis that I think just look really adorable to have them on the battlefield. You can get some ladies who have space shields and space maces and space halberds that can go fight in space. It's great.
I have no idea any of the stuff that you're talking about. You could be making up everything, and I'm just like, yep.
That is the beautiful part of Warhammer, is you're just like, yeah, that's ridiculous, but sure, seems legit. Okay. They also announced the next book in the Warzone Caradon series, book 2. This is going to have Be'lakor, which we talked about a little bit before. The new model just came out, super huge demon guy. There's going to be some new rules that allow you to make an army of renown with him and Chaos Space Marines and demons and all hanging out together. There's probably going to be some Adeptus Mechanicus and Imperial Knights rules in there as well. The big announcement, I think, that came out today was a whole new kind of type of orc, the Beast Snagas, who go out and like hunt down giant monsters, and they ride squigs. And squigs are basically just like big mouths and legs, and just like in a little ball, and they just ride them around in battle. If you like giant monsters, you like your orcs having their fingers bitten off and getting cybernetic replacements. Apparently, there's a limited box set coming out for you, including some old hero who I guess hasn't had a model in print on the table for like decades. So orc fans are probably very excited about that. There's some new stuff for Acadian troops that allow some customization to get different ethnicities. I believe a couple different genders in there as well. And there's an upgrade kit right now. Apparently, going forward, they're just going to include it in the actual box when you buy the Guards Folk. And then finally, there was a teaser for Grey Knights versus Thousand Sons, which will be convenient for me since I actually like both of those armies. So that would be a convenient box if they could release that for me. For Black Library, which also had its own day, there were a number of novels that were announced, but I think the thing that caught everybody's attention is they did a full release of models for Gaunt's Ghosts, which is like a series of novels about this kind of group of guardsmen, group of soldiers that are kind of, normal human level in this chaotic world. And they go, through different harrowing adventures. And now they're going to release models so that you can paint them up and use them on the battlefield, probably in Kill Team or something like that. And some very fancy special editions of those novels were also announced. And then finally, yesterday was the boxed game premiere or reveal. And I had originally expected this would be more board games or more self-contained games, but instead I think it's some of the more spin-off games. So they covered for Warhammer Underworlds, which is like the skirmish Age of Sigmar kind of thing, very card-driven. They had a new, effectively like a sea elf warband that comes with a pet crab and a pet fish. So they're very cute, I think. There's also a new book for Necromunda for House Daylock, which is like I summarize it as, do you want to play the bad guys from Dark City? This is those guys. And you form a crew of them, and there's some new assassins for them and stuff like that. And I think this finally means that all the houses in Necromunda have their own book out. And then they trolled most of the Warhammer 40K players by saying they were finally going to have a plastic Thunderbird, which is like this huge, ridiculously expensive, most complicated Warhammer model ever. This is the first time it's going to be in plastic, but it's only for their just aerial combat miniatures game that you can't use for normal 40K. But at least they have it. And then tomorrow, there should be some other big surprise. Who knows what it is, but that will be the last reveal for Warhammer Fest. And that has been your grim, dark week, I guess.
Grim, dark week. Well, yeah, no. So, hey, keep an eye out, look forward to all that stuff. And you know what? Collect them all. You got to collect them all. Bigger models, all the models, paint them all. Now, let's go ahead and jump right into our favorite fusion morph now that is taken over, when they're like, all right, one side was D&D was like, all right, are you ready? And they did this mark right here. And then Magic did this the other way. And then they were like, bah!
A Saiyan fusion.
Exactly. Emma, tell us about this awesome fusion. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me see. I think we can do it. Emma, can we do it? Or wait, no.
Do it.
No, there you go. Fusion!
Yeah, so we talked about this a little bit in the past. The thing that for many, many years did not happen and everyone said it wasn't going to happen is happening now for absolute sure, and they have spoilers of it. This is the mashup of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, and Magic the Gathering. They're coming together like this, and we were all speculating on exactly how that was going to happen, what it was going to look like. Are they just kind of going to give it a flavor, like a little spice of D&D, and have it be mostly Magic? But no, they are 100% into the dungeons and with the dragons.
You guys remember the old Reese's Cups commercials where it was like, you got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Yes.
You got your peanut butter in my
In
chocolate.
Yes.
It reminds, I don't know why every time I look at this, I always think of that commercial, but because it's, you know, it's a melding.
Yes. And a delicious combination of the things that many people love very much. The cards are going to have a classic rulebook frame treatment, making them look like illustrations from old D&D monster manuals. They've been playing around a lot with the frames, especially on Arena. It's been a lot of fun. They have lands with a brief adventure hook or prompt. So they have spoiled the lands first, which is pretty cool. They have also spoiled a particular card, which is the Vorpal Sword, which will be familiar probably to people who play. It has, Snicker Snack. Yeah, I mean the Bandersnatch. Like I know the Vorpal Sword from that, but apparently it's in D&D as well. Expensive activated ability. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So there will be funny cards that make you lose the game. People are going to try and break and build around, which is always fun. Tiamat gets a card and a borderless variant with alternate art. So the show's going to be very exciting for people. We don't have a ton of information yet, but we have seen some of the characters on the actual box packaging and on the booster packs. So presumably they will be in there to some degree. Drist and Panther Companion Guinevere, I think it is, as well as the Dragon God Bahamut. So the art is there. So we assume there's going to be cards to go along with that. It's also going to be a power word kill. So some of the spells or abilities. And all of this is coming to Arena on July 8th and a physical release, as is typical in local game stores, on July 23rd. So it feels like Strixhaven just came out, but we do have about a couple months before we get to our new Dungeons and Dragons Magic the Gathering set. So yeah, exciting. They're doing it. They're going all the way.
This is it. This is the crossover that we always wanted.
I promote many crossovers, all the crossovers. You just need to have the universe first. Yeah. If we have enough.
In an Alien versus Predator timeline, you guys. This is great. I mean, I think this is cool. I'm not into Magic the Gathering at all because I was cool in high school and I played Dungeons and Dragons. So I think this is like a really cool way of kind of crossing over the kind of fandoms. To me, this feels like if they had made a movie that was like half Star Trek and half Star Wars. Like it's the ultimate, you know, like I don't think there's any kind of like competition. I mean, I feel like, you know, but at the same time, this is a really cool way for the two fandoms to meet. We can all get along and then we can be sold more things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All the things. Speaking about selling things, I hear there's a crisis going on with this new phenomenon. Isabella, please tell us about it.
I was hoping you were going to sing the Pokemon theme song. Crisis might be is an extreme word, but it is a crisis of certain levels. So basically what has happened over the past year is that we've had a boom in card games across the market, from Magic the Gathering to Pokemon, have hit an all-time high. People are back in. People who, like me, grew up playing Pokemon now have all that sweet, sweet disposable income. We're not having children. We're not buying houses. We're not buying boats. So you know what we're doing? We're buying Pokemon cards and we're getting back into it. Pokemon is at its height of popularity, possibly due to the fact that the console games like Pokemon Go, which isn't on console, I'm sorry, Pokemon Snap, which is now released on Switch, Pokemon Go, which was on the phone. Pokemon is having this whole movement, especially with adults who grew up with it originally. And what that's resulting in is kind of a influx of different kinds of labor problems and different kinds of selling and marketing problems as well. So one, there is a shortage of Pokemon cards. If you have tried to buy Pokemon cards at your local game store, you've probably had problems with them. I have here. I couldn't find them at Target. There have been incidences that have happened across Targets across the country of people breaking out into fights over Pokemon cards. They cannot keep up with demand of it. There are also problems with transit, with Pokemon cards being brought into the country as well, due to the Pan Pizza messing up with all of the different kinds of transit issues, including that big boat that got stuck in that thing, which all it had to do was hit reverse and drive out. But you know, I'm not a boatsman. Derek, how dare you? So one of the other big issues that's happening with this Pokemon boom is the selling and reselling of Pokemon cards. If you guys don't know, recently there have been a lot of big, huge purchases that have been made and big, huge sells with Pokemon cards. There was a first edition Charizard, which was recently sold for $300,000. It's one card that was sold for $300,000. And there have been multiple cards like that that have been sold, multiple high profile sellers and buyers, like Logic the Rapper has bought a bunch of Pokemon cards. It's just become this new status symbol. When Pokemon released their McDonald's cards, there were multiple reports of people, full-grown adults, selling those cards, taking those cards, stealing those cards. It's a whole thing. So now, because of the fact that it's become this burgeoning empire of quick cash that people are trying to make, taking those Pokemon cards out of your parents' attics and your grandparents' basements and trying to resell them onto the internets for a lot of money. There's a new cottage industry of validating Pokemon cards to see if they're real or if they're not so good, not so real Pokemon cards. And that has turned into a whole thing. One is because they cannot keep up with the demand. There's a company that is the Professional Sports Authenticators, the PSA, and they are saying that they have over 500,000 people cards sent into them per business week. So people are sending them in their cards in rampant numbers, high numbers. They can't keep up with hiring people to authenticate all these cards. There is a backlog. People are losing their minds over this because people want to go on eBay and they want to sell their cards now. We can't buy enough Pokemon cards. It's insane. It's reminding me of the great Beanie Baby crisis of
Oh,
the
yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Which is also,
Ooh.
lived through that time. It was a terrifying time to be a child and just wanting to enjoy Beanie Babies.
There was also a Furby sellout too during that time, right? There's been several
There's been several. There was that. I remember growing up in the 80s, the Great Cabbage Patch Wars.
Yep.
It's just, there's always,
yeah.
Well, for a while there, it was always a question of like, what is going to be this season's complete freak out? Because like every year would have something where this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense because like now, if you grew up, you know, watching Pokemon, you're probably in your 30s now. You probably have a significant amount of disposable income. And it's nostalgia, baby. And nothing fires off the dopamine than going through your old binder of Pokemon cards and being like, holy crap, I have a first edition card, or a card that you think is going to be valuable. So I don't know. I just think about the fact when I was a Northeast regional champion of Pokemon, and I had a binder that was this thick full of Pokemon cards. And then I was like, I don't need this anymore. I'm 14. I'm an adult now. And I threw them all. Well, I didn't throw them away. I gave them all away. And if I had, I'd be rich.
I hope one of the people that you gave them to is watching this right now and is like, oh, I should go sell those and then make a ton of money.
I hope that if you are still holding on to those cards, call me now, call me immediately, DM me, let's talk.
Just give a little bit of a portion to it. But no, I think it's also
30%.
yeah. There's it's just cool how much is selling out. Even like I remember seeing that even card sleeves business is also like, we can't keep up with the demand.
Yeah.
Oh no.
It's crazy. And if you do have Pokemon cards you need to look at them, but you also might have to wait an entire year to get them appraised for any value. So the quick money in Pokemon cards may not be so quick. And then like all bubbles, they too must burst. So I wouldn't mortgage the family house on Pokemon cards. I'd be careful.
Ooh.
Just have fun. Can you guys just
have
chill?
fun.
Can you just have fun for something real quick?
That's not how nerds roll.
No, we gotta dedicate. But I think so. Before we go too down the path of obsessive buying and selling, I think we should switch over to some board games that might be switching from physical copy to digital. Emma, tell us.
Quick news bite about board games coming to the Switch. Of course, this is nothing new. We have had many board games over the years the Switch has been out. I have no idea what is time, how long the Switch has been out, but many board game adaptations have come to the Switch, but not until this point, adaptations from Oink Games. So Oink Games has been around for a while. They make adorable, very interesting, creative, innovative small box games. Most of their games are like about this size. And they actually haven't been on Kickstarter. Some of them it's been a little hard to get here in the US. Like they might be at your local game store, but they might not. So they actually just closed their first Kickstarter for physical versions of their games, and it went very well. I was a backer. I was excited about the games that were in there. And I guess because of the success of this test, they are now getting ready to launch a Kickstarter for Switch versions, digital versions of some of their games. You can click on the link to be notified when this Kickstarter goes live. Deep Sea Adventures and Startups are shown in the preview image for now. Some of their big hits include Fake Artist Goes to New York, Tomato, yeah. I can't pronounce that.
So what I love is we literally just went through how that game is played in you trying to say the name, because that's literally what the game is.
Nice, yeah. So I think this is very, very exciting. I love digital adaptations of board games, especially on the Switch. Some games I prefer on the Switch as opposed to their paper counterparts. Oink Games, I'm not, and I love the Switch too. Oink Games, I'm not as sure. A lot of their games are just, the components are a very core part of the gameplay. They're very intimate games. They depend a lot on that face-to-face experience. So I think they'll still be fun. They do have one digital game that they've already adapted, and it looks like they've taken it more into a digital space. So I think they could do some really fun stuff with not just straight porting it to another platform, but doing some fun things with art and animation, and then feed back into their physical games as well. It's like, wow, I love this on the Switch. I'm going to play the physical one. It's not going to be exact translation of the gameplay, but it's going to have the core of the gameplay there, and it's going to be fun in digital, fun in physical, and a little bit different on both. It's my hope, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of their games, again, like Tomato, some of their games are very, very basic. I could actually see them working for multiple people around the same physical Switch and just playing it almost like a board game with digital components. I have no idea if that's what they intend, but it's very interesting just because their games are so idiosyncratic. They're just so, like, when you see an Oink game and then you see a second Oink game, you're like, oh, I get what Oink games are now. It's not like they have these mechanics, or it's not like, you know, they have these themes. It's very much they're packaged like this, and you open it and it feels like this. So how they're going to translate that to digital is going to be really intriguing.
Well, yeah, we have to look forward to it. I like more things coming to the Switch myself. Maybe I might be biased because I own a Switch and gobble up all the various different games that they offer me, especially now that they're starting to go more like, hey, you don't have to just, Switch games aren't just solo games. You can play it with people. You don't have to be a loner in your room with stuff. Not that I'm a loner. I'm a very cool person. I have 2 dogs. On
Good save,
another,
good save. You got it.
very cool. No, on another note, hey, guess what happened this week? The 2020 Golden Geek Award winners have been announced. This is the 15th annual. If you don't know what Golden Geek Awards are, the Board Game Geek basically opens it up to the fans, like basically to the public. You can vote for what you like. This is of course, their 15th annual Golden Geek Awards. They actually announced technically 4, but 3 different new categories coming out for this. The game of the year, they separate it now to 3 different brackets, light, medium, heavy, and this has been debated before we started TableTakes today, but the other category they announced is called "What Game is Zoomable?" Via like basically, hey, what game can you play via video conference? And we had opinions about whether or not we should choose a name brand or else go to the way of the Xerox, like, oh, can you make me a Xerox copy? When it's just, you just copy. And you know what? I say I think maybe Zoomable is working. Like that's what people understand. It's the big thing.
In the corner, Microsoft Teams and Google Hangouts are just crying. They're very sad and lonely. Like there's no need to exclude them. This isn't exclusive to Zoom.
Well, I mean, but Zoom is fun, better to say.
Sure, but in like 5 years when Zoom has, I don't know, crashed and burned, and some completely weird new thing is up and running, then they're going to look real weird.
I'm just saying, I'm very entertained by all the various different signs, especially going by my like various different local churches saying Zoom Zoom, what do they call it? Seminars. That's what they do. I'm sorry. I'm not very religious. I'm sorry.
Sermon is the word you're looking for.
Sermon, thank you.
How excited would you be in the year 2021 to receive the Real Media Award for like, gameplay? Come on. You remember Real Media?
I was like, what are you talking about?
It's hard. I was confused
what I mean.
Too. But I mean, Zoom is fun to say. It doesn't have to be a name brand. It doesn't have to be a name brand.
We're gonna
anyway, category good,
for a while.
name bad.
Like, we're in the Zoom timeline for a while, and then when it's when Zoom is passé, then it'll be Gleep Glorp.
Gleep Glorp. I like Gleep Glorp. That's great. But just before I let me go ahead and switch this train back on track. Some of the I'm not going to go through all of the awards because there is a lot. But I mean, these are good games to look at and see like what the general public thinks are really good quality games.
Specifically when you say general public, like I think if you look at this list of the award winners, this is very much like the board game geek user general public. Okay. Like, if you go talk to like people who are really into board games, this is definitely a list that you could see coming out of that community. And it's very different from say like Spiel or, another like mass market kind of thing.
All right. Well, okay. So if you have friends that are really into checking out Board Game Geek and want to know what they also like on Board Game Geek, this is probably the list for you. Some of the things that have popped out for me, some of them I kind of feel like questionable because I'm pretty sure they kind of came out a little bit because the timeline is supposed to be like these games are supposed to be coming out this year or last year, and I'm like, I don't know what the concept of time is anymore and when did these come out. I remember people weren't wearing masks. So it's a weird thing. But some of the cool ones that I like to note is, of course, Doom Imperium. We also have Wingspan of various different expansions. Of course, Gloomhaven. That is a very strong, like, puncher that is like, hey, do you want Gloomhaven and everything that is Gloomhaven? Welcome to my empire. We also have some other games like Calico and Fort, which are some of these, like, nice little feel-good friend games. Did any of you guys spot anything that you particularly liked in these notable games that they have pointed out?
I was happy to see Dune Imperium there too, because like I still haven't had a chance to play it, but now it makes me more excited that when I play it, it will be good. So there's that.
Everybody's talking about Dune Imperium. It's the top of everybody's list, which is it feels good. Dune fans coming out on top in 2021.
It's the
It's our
spice.
year.
It's our year.
And then I'm happy to see Root there because they have the best like board game app version of it. So it's great to see that hitting a whole new market. Spirit Island is a super hard co-op game, so I was really happy to see the expansion for that. That was on Kickstarter a while back. Is now like the runner-up, I think, for best expansion. So it was neat to see those pop up. And then Undaunted winning best two-player game is like another reminder of Derek. You should finally sit down and go play Undaunted because apparently it's great and you're gonna love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, but yeah, no, these are just something, hey, go ahead and look at them and what like some things might pop out to you and really, really latch on. You know what? I want to say this is going to be something that I'm going to go ahead and say, because Derek, this is special. This is when we're all still together. That Kickstarter Queen, can you tell us what games we're looking for today, Derek? Our Kickstarter Queen. No one's as queenie as Derek can be. There you go. Yes, for you, it's special.
So I feel it's even more amusing because the three of you picked all the Kickstarters this week. So like I feel like the real message here is the true Kickstarter was inside all of you all along.
Yep, it's beautiful.
All right, Emma, kick us off.
First up, with 5 days left, ending Wednesday, May 12th, is eye rolling dice. Handmade, sharp edge eye rolling dice. Why is everyone laughing? The eye core
for like applause.
The core eye always looks up. There are more. So some of you who might be regulars watching the show, look at this animation. Look at it. What a good job Marcus did here capturing what is so great about this dice. Because I mentioned recently other dice that had eyes in them, which I also have backed because these are different. Obviously, the previous week's dice were googly eye dice where it just had a little googly eye. This is more like that toy that you used to get as a child. I don't know if everyone had, it's like a hard plastic ball and roll across the floor, and it had an eye that always stayed like with the eye side up, and it was like suspended in a little liquid there. Yeah. So I mean, just look, it turns and it's like looking at you like a real eyeball. How can you pass this up? At this point we're not even doing dice anymore. We're just doing polyhedrons with stuff inside of them, and I'm here for it.
Dice shaped decorations.
That's
just thought of something. Now that I thought I could probably would turn a pen with like dice in them and then just drill through all the dice, and that would be the pen. Oh, never mind. I didn't say anything. This is my idea. Never mind. Sorry.
Things made of dice, you're so hot right now on Etsy, especially. Like people are all over it. And the Kickstarters exploding every week. It's another dice Kickstarter that's like $500,000, $1 million, because everyone is into dice and dice are hot. So hot right now. Yeah, so eye rolling dice with 5 days left. Go check it out.
All right. With 6 days left, Thursday, May 13th, Stormweavers, a story-driven solo tabletop game. So if you're really into like storybook kind of style games like Mice of Mystics or Gloomhaven, but you also don't like other people, here's a solo game for you. You play as a dwarven warrior undertaking a journey across the north of Midgar to rescue and find your friend. You as a player can create, it actually provides a character sheet. You don't have to just get basic dwarf. Here are your stats. You can actually make your character and just have fun with it and just really bring this character to life that you can have. The play is about, like, the player's handbook is about 350 pages. of storybook, and the numbers. It also includes like battle maps and how to handle various fights that the story leads you into. As far as dungeon crawlers go, this game is pretty, budget friendly. I remember they're like about $40 for the set itself versus like, if you're like, oh, I really like things like Gloomhaven, but I don't necessarily have the money for it, you can get the box package for $40. And I believe that there is also a print and play that you can get for those who even with a tighter budget, and print it out yourself for about like 20. Let me don't quote me on that one because I can't remember the numbers right on top of my head. But yes, if you want to go ahead and play a dwarf that is digging a hole, a diggy hole, this is the game for you. Storm Weavers, with 6 days left, Thursday, May 13th.
Sorry, all I'm gonna have in my head today is gonna be like a diggy hole,
Diggy hole.
Oh no, have you not heard of that song? I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy hole. No, okay, never mind. This was the thing. If you were really into Minecraft at the time and watched Yogscast, there was a thing.
This is a very special musical episode of
confirm this is a real thing. Bonsai did not
a real
just make
thing.
this
It was a
up.
meme for
I
a
don't
while.
know it. I just drop it in the chat. I gotta hear it now.
Okay.
With 7 days left, ending on Friday, May 14th, we have Jenny D's Library of Witticisms. Jenny D is one of my favorite YouTubers. She's a really great D&D personality, I guess I could say. I don't know why I feel like that's a weird thing to call her, but she is a really great crafter of different D&D characters, NPCs. She makes a lot of videos about playing the game and how to be a better player and how to be a better DM. She's really, really cute. I love her cosplay. Her cosplays are really cute. She teaches you how to make like cool witches hats and cool elf ears and cool jewelry. And her makeup is really cool, and she does really, really great stuff. And she's coming out now with a 3 collection card collection. I'm sorry, 3 100 card deck collection. There we go. Those are the words. They come in order. So to help you with your players, with your characters. So one deck is jokes, one deck is insults, and the other one is flirts. This is really great for when you're playing a game with your friends and you're playing like say a bard or something like that. And then you can't say, hey, you guys, my bard says something really sexy. And then we're all like, well, what does he say? And then you're like, I don't know, it's real sexy. And then the DM's like, we'll roll for it, I guess. Now you can actually have a card that says something really flirtatious and really cool on top of it. So you don't have to think of these things inside of your head. So I think that this is a really cool thing, especially for people who are not good with writing their own jokes and insults and stuff like that. You also, if you meet the stretch goals, you get non-playable original NPCs that Ginny has come up with, and you get them on cards, and she has designed costumes and character descriptions for each of the NPCs, which I think is really cute. So that's Ginny D's, oh, Derek just glitched out. That's Jenny D's Library of Witticisms. There's 7 days left. And on Friday, May 14th, also check out Jenny D's YouTube page. It's very, very cute.
All right. With 7 days left, Friday, May 14th, Hidden Leaders. So hey, quick note, I have already kickstarted back this game. I was like, oh yeah, I like this. So I'm gonna get it myself. So it's a 2 to 6 leader or competitive, leader competitive game for the throne. You play as it's a 30-minute game, and you play as these offsprings of a recent king that has died, and basically his kingdom is on war to itself. We got the sorry, I'll just go ahead and read the I mumble thought. All right, so hidden role player game where you take on a role of an heir to a dead emperor, each competing to win the throne for their factions. So there's all these various different types of factions. The Imperial tribe and the Hill tribes are both fighting for supremacy, and we got the Water tribe that's like, please, just peace. I don't want either of you to win. So let's like not fight. And then we got of course, the undead that's like, everyone must fight and there must be more of us and we shall conquer all of you with our crawling dead flesh. So it's basically you trying to like hidden and remove your cards. So on this little track piece, depending on what faction you're going on, you want that outcome to be. Players take turns playing hero cards to affect the score track. It seems like a very lightweight, simple card game. Like I said, it's supposed to be 30 minutes long. It's fun, like hidden role, because you're not really supposed to tell like, hey, if I'm this faction or this faction, and if somehow you both end up going for the same faction, the person with the most heroes that are in that faction win. So like I said, I have back this game as well. It's called Hidden Leaders, and it has 7 days left.
Last but not least, we have Perihedral's Kitty Cat Polyhedral Dice with 8 days left, ending Saturday, May 15th. Yes, more dice, but you can never have too many dice. These ones have cats in them. The cats can maybe be different colors if you keep backing it higher and higher levels, because the stretch goals are for things like a galaxy cat. So not only is it a dice that maybe has a black cat in it, maybe that cat is made of stars. Cat and a dice, and you can't really read the numbers, but if you want a cat and a dice, that's probably not what you want anyways. They're really cute, and I think the cats are okay being in the dice. They seem to be cool with it. So yeah, cats in dice with 8 days left, ending Saturday, May 15th.
All right, folks, that was our Kickstarters. And you know what? Now we have reached a very, very exciting point that we're going to just be jumping right into. I asked audience members, please wait about 5 minutes while we switch over, because we are going to be interviewing the cast of Into the Motherlands. This is going to be season 2. It is, and of course, our beautiful Isabella is going to be hosting that. I could give you all the information and details, but I feel like we need to save that because I just want to hype it up. Let me just tell you that the developers and all the people are very passionate about this project because it's taking a fantasy world and elements and applying it not to by a European sense, but definitely from like a very Black cultural sense that you're going in, and they're not just exploring one culture, but many cultures in all around the parts of the world and spinning it and making it their own. So it's just a very great, awesome fantasy world without any of the horrible tragedies that happened in our world. Yay! No, but yes, it's just a very good quality. Into the Motherlands, and they're going to be joining us today, and we're going to be hyping up that show, and they're going to be there to answer all your questions. So stick around. 5 minutes, folks. We will be right back.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for that. Hi, everybody. I'm back again, Isabella. You couldn't get rid of me. You thought you could, but like that weird thing that keeps coming back to you on your back that you should probably get looked at by a medical professional, I'm back again. This time, I'm here with some new friends. Into the Motherland Season 2, coming back at you for another round. I'm so excited to bring my guests with me so that we could talk about the new season. We could talk about what has happened in the past and what we can look forward to. And if you're not familiar with Into the Motherlands, what are you doing? What are you doing? What, you got stuff to do? You got a life? I don't think so. No, I don't have a life. Nobody has a life. Watch Into the Motherlands, okay? It's good for your health. That is not a medical advice. I'm not a medical professional. Anyway, moving on, I want to introduce my guests. I have the illustrious, the infamous, the glorious, the magnanimous Tanya DePass.
Hello.
Hi, Tanya, who is a, let me get my notes, gadabout town, doer of many things, and not haver of sleep. Tanya, hi.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you for coming. I'm fine. Next up, we have Eugenio Vargas.
Yes.
Oh, who is a streamer, a podcaster, a game designer, and a storyteller for Into the Motherlands. Hello.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you for coming. I love your shirt.
Thanks. I love the way you say my name.
And I'm 2 for 3, so let's keep going.
Do it.
Aabria Iyengar.
You got it.
Oh,
I'm proud of you.
Okay. Who is a streamer and a writer. You've probably seen Aabria on Dimension 20, Failed Save, Coco of 1991. Aabria is out here in these streets. And now we'll be joining Into the Motherlands, or now we'll be on Into the Motherlands as well to all the other things that you do. Hi, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Thank you for coming. I'm great now that y'all are here. I'm really excited to talk to y'all about this. This is one of the most exciting projects of the past year. There's been kind of a reckoning that's happened in the tabletop gaming world with representation, with who is the face of gaming, and y'all came out with such a bang and to so much fanfare and to so much praise and love because of the fact that we really wanted to see more faces like y'all out there into the world. And I'm so excited to get y'all to talk about this project. So first of all, like all good heroes and villains, we all have origin stories. And I wanted to ask, what are y'all's origin stories? How did y'all get into gaming? And what drew you into specifically doing this project? I'll start with anybody.
I can
we have
no
to
one's
choose who
talking.
talks when. Oh no! All right, I'll start. So I actually, by trade and profession, am primarily a musical theater actor and musician. But that industry hasn't existed for the last 14 months. So I've had my D&D podcast for a while and have been sort of in and around the game space, gamer Twitter, and all of that for several years. But this past year, suddenly all my work drying up sort of gave me the time to spend a little more time doing gaming things. And incredible people like Tanya have trusted me to do more than just sort of be a dilettante in there. And that's sort of how I got into all the things that I'm doing now, all the streaming and sort of the design that I've been doing. Motherlands, Tanya had, I'll let her tell her origin story for the project, but she reached out to a bunch of folks as she was sort of putting the idea for the project together. And she and I have worked on a couple of things together before this. And so when I got that email, I just said, yes, whatever it is. Yes.
That's awesome. Tanya, tell us about the origin story, not just yours, but of the whole project.
Okay. Well, mine, I don't know how interesting it is, but for video games, I am arcade years old. I grew up running around in arcades with ColecoVision, and is ColecoVision the old one that had the fake wood paneling?
I think so. Yeah,
So.
and the joystick and the wood paneling.
Yeah.
I played ColecoVision, played in arcades, and that's how I got into gaming. It was like somewhere to go after school. I wasn't like a latchkey kid, but it was like, if I did homework and stuff, I could go to the arcade as a treat. Mm-hmm. And for tabletop, I've just been playing since Redbox, had a bunch of nerdy friends, and we were in that satanic panic group of it's the devil. So I had to sneak and go and play D&D. I couldn't say I was going to play it. And then for Motherland specifically, I pitched some things to Twitch, and they were like, well, there's already a bunch of fantasy shows, already a bunch of D&D shows. Because I initially pitched something for Rime of the Frost Maiden before it was out, a Star Trek show, and then support for something else on the channel for Not Any Diverse Games. And they're like, well, there's already a bunch of fantasy, and they were a little iffy because of IP issues around Star Trek. And so, why don't you pitch your own story? What is it you want to do? And I was like, what? My own what? And they were like, no, yeah, pitch your own thing, because they were really intrigued by the Star Trek idea. But again, IP issues, and I don't know, look, it's a thing. And I was like, okay, I'll try a sci-fi pitch, and came up with some ideas. I was like, okay, here's the thing. Here's how many hours we want to do. Went back and forth. And then B. Dave Walters, the homie, he and I sat down. We're like, what about this idea? What about that idea? Then he's like, what about Mansa Musa? And I was like, it was that don't let me admit that I have no idea who this man is. Well, I go Google Mansa Musa because I'm the worst.
Quietly be like, as you quietly Google something.
What's that tapping? Nothing. But yeah, he was like, Mansa Musa, and historically, it's historically accurate that he sent a exposition to the Americas that never made it. So we're like, what if that exposition lands on our planet instead through timey-wimey, however they got there? And we pitched the idea. Twitch said, okay, here's your budget. And we had a date to get all of our content done. And we somehow, by the skin of our teeth, pulled it off. Literally by the skin of our teeth. We had 1 week where we could have if something went wrong, because we had to get it done by the end of 2020. And as things were going well, it was like, so season 2. And the funny part is we've known for months that we were getting another season. And that was one of the hardest secrets to keep, because people are like, season 2. And I'm like, mm-hmm. The Kermit gift where he's like, mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there like the dude with the sweat. What David Allen Greer when he's sweating? It was that gif.
Oh, the Jordan Peele one where he's like, yeah.
I'm like, I feel like they both have gifts where they're doing that. So that was me internally, while externally I was like, sure, be nice.
Yeah, well, because it was a banger. I mean, like, it came out and it was so cool, and it was so great to see everybody's like, it's such, I don't know, it was such an iconoclast of such good performers all together, like Aabria, who we're just meeting for the first time, and I want to hear about what your background is and how you fell into not only gaming but also into the Motherlands as well.
Yeah. I always feel like such a poser, like in these panels, because I came to D&D late, like 5th edition came out and I'm part of the squad that was like, what is this? Oh,
excuse me. You're not late. You were just on time.
You were right on time.
I'm a wizard. Yes. I show up when I'm supposed to.
That's right.
But I feel so bad because like I always tell the story and everyone's like, oh, your old friend group. But I was definitely brought in as like the girlfriend in a gaming group to my now husband. And they were like, there'll be a cleric in the corner and we'll ask for you when we need healing. I was like on the side, like, okay, this is fine. And then by the second session, I was like, I like this more than any of you ever will. And I just like sprinted off and started playing everything I could get my hands on. And yeah, I talk to them all about it all the time. They're like, yeah, no one puts cleric in the corner. I'm like, I'm a warlock now. I'm different and it's weird and it's fine. So yeah, I've been streaming a bunch in the intervening 4 or 5 years since I first heard of dice, and now I sell dice. I'm a dice monger. I should have said dice monger when you were like, what
you should have said dice monger.
That's on me.
Okay.
And yeah, also shout out to Bonsai because we were running around Gen Con like in 2019. So on the con floor.
I can imagine the two of y'all.
Oh my God, you're chaos embodied when the two of you get together.
Yes. So speaking of chaos, I was also part of another one of a Twitch channel stream, and I remember like getting ready for all of our stuff going live for the Unleashed, and then the announcement for the Motherlands came out, and I saw the roster, and I was like, they didn't miss. Like everyone is on this, and I love each one of those people. So like I don't always have a ton of time to watch RPGs, but like this was the one I was like, I'm gonna tune in. Like I will slide up on a Sunday and just plop down and watch that. And it was just so incredible. So then when Tanya reached out and was like, hey, we're like thinking of adding someone, I was like, yes, please. What do I do? Do I give you money? Like how do I would like to go to here, please. And so it's been just an absolute dream. And like we're a couple episodes in, and it's even more fun on this side of the table than it is to watch. And it's really cool going from like a fan of the show to actually getting to be on the cast.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, but you bring up a really good subject, like this idea of a lot of people of color come into D&D kind of late. A lot of people of color, I started playing D&D when I was in high school, and then I kind of fell out of it because I was like a moody goth kid, and then I kind of
respect.
And then I joined it back up again later on in life, and I feel like I'm just now coming back into like the world of it, and most of that is because of the fact that I found community. I found other people who noticed the issues inside of D&D, and we addressed those issues, or we addressed the issues of representation inside of Tabletop, and we could actually talk about it. And so I wanted to ask about this particular project Into the Motherlands, and how do you guys feel that, do you understand the significance of what your roles are? Like how awesome it is to have a group of people of color playing these games. Tanya, I see your side eye. I see your side eye.
No, that was panic. That wasn't side eye. That was internal panic of, oh God.
What I'm saying that the show is incredible for raising the profile of players of color, and I wanted to know how you guys felt about that. And do you guys understand like how awesome it is?
I want to start because I want these two to actually have last words on this, and why will be clear in my answer. I do realize that, and I have to be honest, I love this show. I love running it. I have such a good time every Wednesday with these amazing humans, but I feel that way constantly. I really do. And for me, what's amazing and awesome and terrifying about it is I am super hyper aware of that, right? This is different. This is ground up new. So it isn't like it's different from other things. It's different even from my joining the Rivals of Waterdeep this season, right? Which is also an all POC cast, but this feels different because it is all on us. And for me also, I will say out loud, because I think it's important that people know that even amongst BIMPOC creators, we think about this. I am always super aware, and I'm always working with the developers and with the cast, because yes, it's a show and a setting that focuses on people of color, but the core of the setting is about Black people, and I am the only non-Black person of color in the cast on screen every Wednesday, and so that's something that I think about a ton. I'm doing my part to represent the community of color in general, the Latinx community. But the stories that we are telling, I mean, the core conceit of the setting is that we are seeing what happens when Black folks get to create society without the baggage that they just have no choice but to have on Earth. And so I am very, very constantly aware of how important that is, and very, very careful to make sure that anything that I do that sort of approaches that area, I am checking with my Black colleagues, to really make sure that we are doing this right.
Yeah, that's great.
I want to slide in and just say something really quick, because I also would like to hand this off to Tanya as like
after she has side-eyed and freaked out about it. Great, I love it.
But as someone who like watched from the outside and then came in on it, I mean, yes, like the base idea that like it's incredible to sit at a table and know that like sort of within and without is entirely in like the hands of like people of color that like approach the same sort of like fantasy tropes and story beats and sci-fi with both the acknowledgement of like how colonialism and like those perspectives have like made their way into these kinds of narratives, and also knowing that like you're with a group with a shared sense of like not only the importance of what we're trying to do, but just like the newness of it and how important it is for like as people within a culture, like we live in like Western civilization, so it's hard to decolonialize your own thoughts and your own approaches to like gameplay. So in as much as it's very fun and like sort of heart affirming to like have that as a base principle, there is a constant process of like checking yourself and your choices even within play to be like, oh, okay, I've learned that like the thing that I'm about to do is something that like I've been taught to in tropes over time in the stories that I've like continually interacted with. Like, how do you like see that and pivot and take it somewhere new and interesting? And I think that's just been like the fun thing, even 3 episodes in, that I've gotten to like interact with in this like really big, amazing way. But I defer to the head ne'er-do-well.
You've been promoted.
Please give me business cards that say head ne'er-do-well. It's to be frank, it is terrifying. It is terrifying to have the reins of everything at my fingertips, because we didn't know how it'd be received before we did the first season. We knew we had Twitch front page. We knew that we had a great cast. We had great people writing, but you never know. And having been in this space so long, having been in the gaming space as a Black woman, I know how shitty people can be. I should have asked, could I cuss? I'm so sorry.
Well, yes, well, now you can, sure.
I didn't even think that. I forgot from last time. This has been a while. But knowing how people can be and the slurs that we've all gotten, you know, also that we've got a good part of our cast is openly queer. I was terrified of literally the day that we premiered. I'm like, how is this going to go? Are we going to get a bunch of trolls? We're going to get whatever. But also the reaction just to the announcement, the reaction to our first couple episodes of season 1, it was like, oh my God, this is super important to people. And that is a terrifying thing that's very humbling. You know, for people to go, oh my God, I get to see people like me, not just on screen, but creating everything. Because, you know, like Eugenio said, it's not just like Rivals. Like Rivals, I've been there from the beginning, but it is D&D. It is well established. And there's almost 50 years of history there and 50 years of history that needs to be unraveled, frankly. But we're at the wheel. And I get a chance not just to work with people I love and admire, but to hire them and to give people here, create a world together. And that's the part that I love about it, because it's all collaborative. I'm sure we've all been on projects where you're like, oh, I don't know about this. Or, you know, you see something and you're like, that thing doesn't belong there. And you don't always get to be the voice in the room, or everyone looks at you because they know something not right that they've done, and they kind of expect you to catch it and be the voice in the room. And I'm like, that's not on my pay grade. We didn't sign a contract for that. But I also can't let this go out in the world this way. Right. But all of us talked about in the season finale of 1, where we did the post show, of too many of us have been on projects where we're often the only person of color in the room. Mm-hmm. We're not making decisions. We're not signing the checks, as it were. And to have that trust given to me is just frankly terrifying. And every week I'm worried that, what if we screw it up? What if someone hates what we do? What if someone hates us? So sometimes I have to kind of like try to distance myself and think of it strictly as business when I'm not actually on screen, because I'm sure all of us feel our feels. And but to see fan art just from the announcement, see fan art from our very first episode, and amazing fan art, and such a community that's grown from it that it means so much to them, it's overwhelming. So, and oh my God, I'm about to cry.
No. Feel your feelings. Feel your feelings.
Soft. You're a soft girl.
Wow.
Them's fighting words, y'all.
Okay,
Kosa, I got something for you Wednesday.
Wait a minute. I don't have my storyteller notebook. Hold on, we can't make sure. Wait a minute.
This is great. Well, and I really, I have to say, you know, that if I had this when I was younger, I wouldn't have been so afraid to get into it more. You know what I mean? Like, same. If I had that when I feel like all those moments where I was playing games and I was like, I don't like this character type. I don't like where this story is going. And I was the only person of color, so I couldn't speak up, you know? Like, just doing what you do has changed so many people's lives in ways that like we'll never really be able to understand. And you should be incredibly proud of that. And you can't screw up, because what you're doing is incredible.
It's good.
It's great, and people love it, and we love it. And so I think about my younger self, and I also think about all the kids, all the younger people behind us who are watching this, and who knows what kind of stuff they'll make in a couple of years, and who will be inspired by this. And so that's really awesome. I wanted to ask you guys about you've got a season behind you now. You're looking forward into season 2. What are some of the highlights from season 1 that you guys picked up, that you guys love? Or even things from season 1 that you learned that maybe you're going to kind of try to do differently in season 2.
Excuse me.
Sure. You want to go?
Sure, I'll go first. I'll put you on the spot for now. You know, and even with saying that, what I would bring is one, all of our flashbacks in character. Those were just so... Okay, well, you can talk. You ran them. You could talk about them more. But, you know, because since we switched scenes, and so we're all like on the Zoom chat, and we only just see the two on screen. And I'm sitting there like, why are you making me feel the feels? I can't, like, when y'all switch back to the main thing, I'm gonna be sitting here like, don't mind me. Just something in my eye. There's onions. but also just, like I've had a chance to play games with most people on the cast before we started, before season 2. But it's also just the fact that I get to see my friends every week. Anyone who's ever tried to run a weekly game knows it is like pulling teeth to get people in one spot for any amount of time, and it's just, and I guess overall it's just, I get to hire my friends and I like them. And, Brian, Urban Bohemian, is in the chat, who is our voice, who is our intro voice. And Brian's like one of my longest friends. So, So just getting to watch the flashbacks, watch everyone in their craft and in their element.
Yeah. To watch the people that you like do what they do and do it well. Yeah. We're getting into the feelings.
I'm going in before Eugenio so I can also talk about the flashbacks. I just want to just scorch that earth for you.
We really do love each other, y'all, I promise.
We do.
This is like family.
Heckling is my love language.
Right.
No, I think as far as just there's nothing that I would say I didn't enjoy in season 1. And the interesting prospect ahead of me when I got to come on was say, by virtue of the character choice that I'm going to make, what do I want to see more of in the future? So there's also this extremely active component into crafting the narrative into what I wanted more of. And as you can tell from my polite ribbing of everyone involved on the screen, I like those interpersonal moments of tension, and I wanted to approach that culturally. Of so many stories about a ship and a crew are a band of outsiders, and I wanted to explore that outsider nature and shine a little bit of more light on what some of the civilizations that were created for this campaign and for this system, what they looked like, and why our group has sort of self-designated as this band of outsiders that's come together. So I think the thing, if I can get you all interested in watching the rest of the season, is jumping in and exploring that more, because I play another Hyanol. So there's an interesting foil aspect that I play to Tanya's character. So you get to see a little bit more of what that culture is, and affirm and rebel against societal mores. And I don't know, I could talk about this forever, but I just think it's really cool and interesting, and I just want to explore the culture more. And that's the thing I'm excited to see more of.
Yeah. I mean, I love that, because one of my favorite things about season 1 was getting to run a publicly viewable adventure arc streamed game that we were playtesting and writing and developing and creating as we went. From the beginning, I have been so excited about the prospect of being the storyteller, being the GM for a game, and having, I describe them as a writer's room, having these developers, these incredible minds there for me, where after an episode's done, I can write up my notes and be like, hey, y'all, I think this is what's probably going to happen next week. Can you flesh out this location? Can you build me some creatures that they might find? Can you tell me about some of the people who live there? And it's just this incredible team of people that I have in my corner to help me every week. And then when the players, when the characters want to also explore that, when Aabria emails me and says, hey, can I have everything you all have written about Hyanol society so I can figure out who this person is? I'm like, yes, heck yes, you can. So I love that. And I love, like these two, I love exploring that through the flashbacks. I was telling them, you all, before we went live, that the flashbacks are sort of the result of me watching another brilliant DM do something at the top of a season that I was going to do for Motherlands, and me being like, well, I can't do that now. So I very sort of quickly came up with this idea of the flashbacks, and it's been one of my favorite things about the season. About season 1 and now season 2 also. For season 2, the big thing that I want to do differently is explore our main planet of Vatoa. We spent almost the entirety of season 1, except for the flashbacks, off planet, dealing with threats elsewhere, which was awesome and a great way to learn and try out mechanics and meet characters and all of that. But now this season, we're back on our main planet. We're back on Vatoa. We're dealing with problems at home. And I'm really excited to find out what the rest of this planet looks like.
That's awesome. I love this because one is I can tell that y'all have a really good time like together as just as people, but also as players. And that like is, I don't know, y'all just seem like this is the synergy. I didn't want to say that word. That's so gross. But it's there. The synergy's there. So is there anything that y'all have already started on season 2? So I wanted to know if there's anything that y'all could give us about things that you want the viewers to look forward to, any kind of little sneak peeks into what you're planning for season 2 that could get us kind of prepared for where we're going and what we can expect.
I'll mute myself, Eugenio.
Musical episode.
Take your headphones off. No, I'm kidding. Oh God, can you imagine? Yeah.
No spoilers, just little treats.
Little teaser. So we the enemy, the villain from season 1, was big and scary and horrifying, and I can't wait to get to see them again and explore more about what they are. But any good setting has more than one major antagonist that you can, pull threads for your campaigns and your stories and your games. And so while we have not forgotten about our horrible squid monsters from season 1, and they'll be back, there may be some other adversaries that our players are going to have to deal with this season, very different from the alien squid creatures. So I feel like anything else I say is going to give things away, so that's all I can do.
It was perfectly ominous. I'm very excited.
Great. Yes, I'm really working on my creepy cliffhangery sort of, so
nailing it.
Right.
I'm also seeing in the chat some call for a musical episode.
No, Aabria.
I don't know. It's what the fans want.
Give the people what they want.
The people what they want.
Aabria.
I can't sing either, and that has never stopped me.
It's going to stop me. Also, as a creative director, that's a no.
All right, I'm hearing a maybe.
I'm hearing a maybe. I'm hearing it's a soft
We
no.
both heard
You
a
all should
maybe.
get your hearing checked. Because no.
I mean, I'm just saying, one of the things that I really like that people are doing now is like bringing in like a musical element. You guys don't have to sing, but maybe if there's like a Into the Motherland soundtrack or something.
That's sort of interesting.
So if the chat has soundtrack money, we'll do it.
Hey, just throwing out ideas.
I love it.
So speaking of your fans, you guys have such an awesome fan base. You guys have such an active fan base. I'm loving everybody's comments in the chat. What are some of your one of some of your favorite fan creations? But I also want to know about how have you guys reacted to your fan base? What are some of your favorite interactions, whether that be fan art or anything that you've seen?
All right, I will admit this publicly. My guilty pleasure is going into the Motherland's Discord and going to, we have a channel for watching live where like people who are a little maybe overwhelmed by our Twitch chat can go in there in a smaller community and chat with each other while the show's going. And my guilty pleasure is going in there and reading after an episode, reading everything that people are talking about, because it is incredible to me. And not only is it incredibly gratifying to see people excited about the things that the characters and the NPCs and the setting is doing, but also our fans, our audience is smart, and they pick up on things and they pull out things and they mention things, and I will, I'll take inspiration and ideas from anywhere, and I can't tell you what they are because we haven't gotten to them yet, but I will say that like at least 2 ideas, one for season 1 and one for season 2, I pulled out of that channel.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Blame all of you.
So blame all of them. No, slightly modified, because if it was going to be direct, I definitely would have like messaged that person and be like, hey, I'm stealing your idea and I'll totally give you credit. But it's mostly like, what does the audience comment on? Because that's what they are paying attention to. That's what's important. That's what's making an impact. And so, like I say, on top of, just being a nice ego boost, it's really actually really helpful, both for the... What?
That hair flip was so aggressive.
It's long enough now after this panini that I can do it.
I'm sorry, I just love it. I love it so much.
It's great because I mean, you know, anybody that streams a tabletop RPG, I mean, I honestly I would encourage that because it's a great tool. But also for us, we're still in development, we're playtesting, we're writing, we're creating, and so I can even pass that stuff on to the developers. It's such an awesome resource, and I thank our fans and our audience so much for being so engaged. Because it's, you know, it's part of our process now.
That's so cool. But what a cool collaborative kind of tool that you have, you know, to be able to listen to where the fans are. I feel like I would feel a lot of pressure to hear that, but I think it's a really great way of sort of enhancing the game, right? Because they also feel like they're part of it, and they're part of the world, you know, even though they're watching it on the other side of the screen. I love that. I love that. Aabria, how about you?
Well, first, I just want to say a shout out to Eugenio, because I think that's what makes one of the many myriad reasons why you're such an amazing game runner, is that you have that like instantaneous feedback loop of like seeing what like the chat and what our audience cares about and like digging into that. And you do the same thing with the players. Like you chase your players' fun and you chase the audience's like attention in this like really pleasing way of like, it's just the ability to do that simultaneously while generating a story and leading a table through it is incredibly difficult. And I just want you to like have extra, like a little moment of props for that, because you're very, very good for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
That's a good GM, a person who could do that. That's good. That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. I like the fan art a lot.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good. And it's just really like, it was really nice coming in, because it's always a little weird when you come into an established group, like, all right, new season. And I'm like the weird kid sister that just shows up halfway through and I'm like, do you please enjoy my character? And the fan art has been so like such a big part of me personally feeling like super like embraced by the community. Like everyone at the table is amazing. Like professionals and friends, and like I was never worried about that at all. It's just nice that the audience like embraced too, and it's very cute to see Koza art, and I love it so much. That's all.
Tanya, how about you?
The fact that, so this is going to sound terrible probably, but I'm not good with words or people. The fact that we have a community that people love what we do and they show up every week, and the fact that there's so many just amazingly talented folks that just have fallen in love with what we do. I hopefully that's not too forward, but the fact that real time before the show was even over, there's fan art out there, and there's gifts, and there's people that want merch, and there was someone who made like killed their own Bartrand, like a ceramic one, and I was just like, how? Like I took pottery and made a spoon. That was what I did.
More than I can do.
Look, it was. I didn't say it was a usable spoon.
Well,
it called a fork.
It was an effort was made. Put it that way. And you know, just the fact that people are so into this, and there was just so much love put into the care of it, and just as soon as we wrap, people like, so where's season 2? Season 2, where is it? But also just, it's weird because for me, I have a very up and down relationship with even the term fans, term audience, because I'm very glad and grateful people like what we do. But having been on that other side of the parasocial relationship, and not as someone who's being creepy, but on the, oh, this is bad, I need to go. It also is just like my hackles are always a little bit up, and it like just that 1% of not being able to just fully engage and really enjoy. And I hopefully will get past that by the time we're done with season 2.
We gonna get her there. We are.
Yeah.
Look.
Well, I mean, you do, but you have such an incredible fan base, and it's well deserved. It's because you guys are great at what you do, and people love the show so much. And I'm looking forward to season 4, 5, 6, 17, 18, 25.
Movie, right? That's what we go for.
Well, it was funny because somebody was like, well, where's the animated show? Where's this? And my answer is always going to be like, when you were a kid and you asked for food, and a parent was like, so you got money for that?
Oh,
You got animation
But you were
money?
gonna be like, we have a cartoon at home.
we
And I'm
have it
like,
at home. That's what we got
Fair.
cartoons at home. You watch them Looney Tunes. You enjoy it.
Look, animation ain't cheap.
No.
Hey, Amazon, friend of the show, Amazon, please give us a show.
There it is. There it is.
Bezos, where you at?
Yeah.
Yo,
Jeffrey, I love Into the Motherlands Bezos, as he's known.
Yeah, this is it.
sure.
We all know
sure.
him for that, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but here's the thing. Let's just be real. People always want stuff, and this is like auntie brain coming out of, I want this, I want that, and it's like, hey, have you thought about the work that it takes to go into this? And also, as much as I'd love to have an animated series or even comics or anything like that, I'm a firm believer in paying people a fair wage. So for me to pay someone what their comic series, that's thousands of dollars, if not more. So y'all want comics, we have a coffee. I'll start a Patreon just for the Motherlands. We can make it happen, but I need y'all to have, I got that energy money for all the things y'all want.
Well, y'all are in season 2, so who knows where this is going to go. And after we get out of this pineapple under the sea that we're all in, and we
That's a
can
good
start.
one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is very good. And the sound you heard was me taking that.
It's yours.
Yoink.
And so, once we get out of that and we can start going back to cons and things like that, I think that things are going to really kick off, and I'm really excited for it. We don't have much more time, but I wanted to ask, speaking of the future, since we're looking currently at the end of this current Pamela Anderson, sorry, I'm full of them. I have
write these all down. These
I know, I have so many of them. That's all I've been doing for the past 14 months.
Truly.
And so now that we're looking at the future of it, I wanted to ask you guys kind of a broader question, which is, what are you guys looking forward to the most in fandom and community? We've seen sort of a reckoning happening with major sellers, with major companies, thinking more broadly. We've had one hell of a year when it comes to cultural shifts and changes and things like that. I really do include Into the Motherlands as part of the cultural shifts that have happened over time, especially this past year. And I wanted to kind of kick it off with some positivity. What are you guys looking forward to in the future? What for the community do you think is happening that once we can all get back together?
Do you mean sort of in general or for Motherland specifically?
In general, kind of the nerd community or tabletop community, or, even specifically from your perspective on Into the Motherlands.
Sure.
For me, it's, within reason, getting to go to cons again, and if anyone cosplays anything for the Motherlands, I will just lay down on the floor in whatever convention center we're in. Are you okay, Quiddy?
No, because that just occurred to me right now, and I'm like, oh my God.
That first cosplayer that's going to show up,
I'll cry.
I want to be there to record that. I want to see it.
But also, for people eventually to have the book, the setting book, in their hands, and to be able to see people walking around with it. Not that you walk around with an RPG book because they're big and heavy.
Do you not?
I walk around with them in my backpack. This is why I had to buy 8 bookshelves before I moved.
Just like a little baby Bjorn for your...
Yeah.
Oh my God. But yes, B-Day Walters is hard at work putting together the Kickstarter. Target to launch is a week from today. Knock on wood, we get everything in place. Because again, the Panini has caused all sorts of delays. But like having someone come up and ask one of us to sign the book because we worked on it. Because I've been asked to sign D&D stuff I've worked on, and that's not the same. This is ours.
Yeah.
No, not just mine. It is ours.
Bria, what are you looking forward to in the future?
Oh man, definitely seconding the being together, that like the sense of like in-person community, that like it's been amazing. Okay. A panna cotta is terrible and it's been super stressful, but the ability, like I've forged so many like interesting friendships and relationships with people, because like yeah, just accessibility. And we got really, really good at connecting with people that were really far. And now it's interesting sort of having this like spider web network of friends. And I'm very excited to like kind of reaffirm those like IRL friendships again, because I'm very extroverted and like need to be around people to eat their energy. I'll do it without it, but you know, it's not the same. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to see the sort of like landscape of conventions change a bit as people had way more free time to like dive into their hobbies. Like I think those communities have gotten more interesting. They've gotten more diverse. They've gotten like gender and like all sorts of parity has happened. So I'm so excited to see that reflection when I'm walking around in these like really big nerd spaces. Like I'm excited to go to Gen Con and just see a bunch of like young kids and people of color and queer people just walking around, like having fully embraced the hobby in this last like year and some change in a way that maybe wouldn't have happened if we weren't all sort of like focused on sitting inside quietly. Like everyone became an indoor kid. So like come to Gen Con now kind of thing. So that's the thing I'm most excited to see is just the change in the landscape for like who's taking part in this and who's engaging with the community.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I'm excited for cons. I'm excited to see people again. Sort of maybe in a larger sense, I mean, what Aabria said is absolutely true. So many people have come into this hobby in general. And I think a lot of folks that were sort of already in the hobby have leveled up, right? We've got a huge influx of streamers, tabletop streamers and video game streamers, right? Of game designers, of writers, of all sorts of things. And I'm really excited just for those folks who, you know, maybe felt like they never had time to get into it or never had, you know, the space or the whatever, the energy, the whatever it is to have done that. These people now have a chance and I can't wait to see what they create. I hope, like you said, that Motherlands, you know, inspires some of that, but whatever it is, I can't wait because I do think that as we've all said, all four of us have now said, you know, this hobby and this industry is diversifying in so many ways. You know, the Pan Dulce has been rough, but I think it's given a lot of people a way in, and God, that's exciting. Mm-hmm. How many new ideas, new projects, new things, seeing what we're doing and do it on your own. I want to see the, you know, this, well, in a spinoff, you talk to us about IP, but like the other projects that this inspires, I want to see all of that. Do it. Why not? Because this continued sort of, you know, low-key, well, not always even low-key, but this sort of built-in, I don't know, othering of people in this industry is not going to survive when all of us others are the ones that are creating. Because even the great big companies, even the Paisos and the Wizards of the Coasts and all of them, they can't, if we are doing this, they can't resist. And I don't mean to suggest that they're trying to resist. I just, you know, corporate culture is a different thing and is a whole separate beast to have a conversation about. But the reality is, if we're all doing this, and the more of us that do this, the harder it is for just a straight up cold calculating corporate interest to not get on board with us. Exactly. And I can't wait to see what this past year and the people who have stepped up are going to do to that.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I also love how you're waving these scissors around. You mean it.
There's so much on my desk and I cannot not have something in my hand. So I have scissors, dice, pens, y'all.
All right, really quick before we end, I just want to know something I was in the chat about. Hasbro will resist, but Paizo will embrace. Except the thing is, we're not a fantasy setting; we're a sci-fi setting. There is no two things, and Hasbro may resist, but they also don't have a sci-fi property right now. Because look, I ain't gonna lie. If somebody came to me and said, "Here's several $1 million, we will bankroll this shit," look, where do I sign?
Look, I would love to sell out. I just want someone to buy me, please. It would be so fast. There would be an Aabria-shaped cloud. Give me the opportunity.
I still need creative control, and our team remains the same, and it's only people of color who work on it. Mm-hmm. But look, I'm not going to turn down that. There's certain money that you just go, and I dare anyone to say they wouldn't do it, because you would be a liar.
but again, that's the same. She's Tanya, you're saying exactly what sort of in we both said the same thing in our ways, right? Because what you're saying is 100% true, and when we get to sell out, then we get to change things from the inside. And that's why I will never have a problem with, well, I mean, all right, maybe let's talk specifics, but right, like selling out that's not what that is. That's getting in.
Right. And I think, but it's happening, you know, I mean, you can tell there was just this big report that happened that things that involve people of color, movies, television, games, they sell better, you know, and like a lot of the time money speaks. And so I just feel like it's happening. We're going in that direction and y'all are really at the forefront of that. I really could talk to you guys for like 80 more hours. I appreciate you all so much for coming in, especially your extra time that you spent here on the chat. Please come back at any time. Even if you just want to drop in and just be like, hey, Isabella, I got a new hair job. Oh my God, hairdo today.
No, that's what they're called now.
That's what they're called. Yep.
That's what they're called now.
Oh my God.
That's so not what I
Yeah,
heard.
write it down. It's a hair job.
And on that scene,
Yeah, right. What a great exit.
I just wanted to say really quickly though, before you guys go, you mentioned the Kickstarter. If we could get a little bit more information about that.
it will be a setting book. Most of our folks who wrote on season 1 and are now working on season 2. And shout out to Eugenio for not just being our storyteller, but crafting the story for the stream at the same time. But it'll be on my Kickstarter account. We're in the last vestiges of getting assets put together. And as soon as we have a pre-launch link, trust me, I will spam it. Y'all will be sick of me. And yeah, it'll be a setting book. It'll give you more about the Hyanals. You'll meet like the Solansi and some other folks that we've mentioned, but we haven't really talked about. You'll learn more about Vitoa. You'll learn more about our enemies and stuff like that. And I believe we'll have 1 or maybe 2 sample adventures depending on how we go, because we have to save something for our stretch goals.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so we have our plan for meeting back up again when the Kickstarter comes out and the book comes out, and then you guys have to come back.
And when we get haircuts, right?
And when we get haircuts, hair jobs, as they're called.
Hair jobs. I'm sorry. I already screwed up.
Thank you guys so much for coming on, for talking to us here at TableTakes. I have to now do an outro now, don't I? I think I do. This is the first time that I've done an outro, so I'm nervous.
You can do it. I believe in you.
You're gonna be great.
You got it.
You got this.
Thank you. So thank you guys so much for watching and for being part of our special episode of TableTakes today. You can catch us back again next Friday at 2 p.m. We're going to be here, same bat time, same bat channel. But you can also, you don't have to wait till Monday or till Friday so that you can see us again. You can also catch us back on Monday with more programming. 4:30, we do One Man Murder Maze, which is not as murderous or bloody as I thought it was originally when I heard about this show, but that's okay. At 4:30, 6 p.m., we have Board Games with the Brothers Murph. Wednesday at 10 a.m., we have This Game Gets Dicey. And then Friday, back again, 2 p.m., more TableTakes. Please follow and subscribe. Turn on your notifications. I feel like one of those Twitch stream guys are like, slap that notification. Why don't you slam that subscriber bell? If you missed a show,
you sound like a certain kind of streamer.
Okay, that's true. You know which ones I'm talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you miss a show, you can watch our streams just one day later on YouTube, so you never have an excuse not to watch one of our shows. If you want to connect with other Gen Con fans, you can catch out our official Discord. Thank you so much to everybody who watched, and thank you so much to Tanya, Aabria, Eugenio, Marcus in the back end for doing everything. And I'll catch you guys next week. Bye. Take care. Get vaccinated. Bye.
Yes, get your shots.